Testing a look. Okay, there are proofs that the Flint water crisis is in relationship to legal captivation, Oz captivation, tool, her evidence fabrication nature, uses beyond their per means beyond their discernment, with them as Oz, our most sophisticated, and with us in relationship to this too. For example, in other words, that's why we have human value nature systems run by business, not defined by relationship to real law, which is unchanging positive value always. We don't have leadership, our own opinion natures told to value us as if we were their kids. In other words, we wouldn't have the water problems like that ahead of time. And then the logistical locations of it and the nature of it is proofs too. Even just for the legal nature and competence that is tied to the shootings in Chicago and to New York standard sabotages and Detroit's. You know, we played a business game called freedom that it wasn't about. That was forced. In other words, it was never. In other words, if you don't have under real freedom, real its cause, which is an independent nature, in demonstration of itself as the only unchanging positive. It's independent. That's why we long freedom, because that's its cause, which is an active cause, which is not to defend freedom, but defend its own nature, which causes positive value nature progressions called evolution. See, we have the sciences categorically arranged, forcing glorified lies and delusions and names, you know, that are blood clot to the, what is a better term, that are sabotage to obfuscating actual morality and understanding of morality and the physics of law. We have physics contained to physical delusions because they don't understand metaphysics first, and with that, and there's value beyond that. And that's inherent to correlation to understand this. It takes correlation, not psychology. I'm not a doctor, and this is a problem too. We have a nature of insidiousness with healthcare tied to courts, and with relationship to problems and maintaining problems and mistreatments of you know, even sociology, forcing it insane, you know, forcing it compromised too in every nation. It's not just our nation. We lost to this last, but we all lost to this. Inter-science, geopolitical science. Different nations that stay these guys is blaming it on each other, faking fake identities, looking at each other through contrast. But the sciences share, in other words, needs to keep the law top-down lies. In other words, to keep the law basic and playing in shared business and leadership glorifications, not real law. So we never have human standards. We have them worse than that. We have mass sabotages organized per natures of crime. We're not even let sophisticated. We fight each other not to show the proofs that are demonstrated. We're fighting not to show proofs because we're playing a business game. In other words, business laws. Real law says Flint, Michigan, what led up to it also demonstrated that there were incompetence and worse. You know, we have to assume worse, especially with the reactions to it too. Worse than incompetence. In other words, each person is like a baby of leadership, but we don't let that happen, and not by accident. It's because the sciences too, with these parties, animals, because of the way they're training little kids to only let that thing. In other words, there's only guys in relationship to these treatments of politics and of law. All our nations lost. Not one of them could justify glorifying itself, but in relationship to contrast to another nation. Why? Because our standards confined to natures of law and acceptations of that. No, there's no excuse for Flint's water crisis and for so many things, poverty and everything like that with standards. And this is in relationship to why we have the American Civil War understood, American Revolution, we don't have it understood. We're forced to just memorize massive facts without that are all with treatments attached to them, with summary convictions forced top down attached to them, that are predatory and don't correlate with the truths that are real natures of organized crime that we need to understand with founding. And in relationship to all these legal nature treatments, in other words, these aren't business treatments. And where there would be business treatment, you can't address that without addressing how that was with original terror roles with forced internation police here already entrenched. That was the thing of James Madison, George Washington. That's why they cheered us in England when we fought for revolution, because there was all the different European nations, African nations, Asian nations, everyone that shared geopolitically, criminally engineered education, and these business really forced and these natures of internation business. It was made to keep every nation playing fake identities and blaming all the people and only letting realized glorified self-defeating, breaching nature justifications of law, not top-down care and love as the law. You know, instead of justice satisfying appearance, true justice satisfies appearance, all appearances of true justice, we have criminal insidiousness. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not police. I'm not a criminal. We have criminal insidiousness, nature, only let realized trained and glorified, in other words, in self-defense day, and everyone's doing that together because the science is how they're written and everyone revealed. This is how the parties, it's not just the parties individually, can change the name, whatever. It's the facts. In other words, it's not the names, it's not the, in other words, it's how all these opinion natures together are playing reaching nature roles and forcing sabotage morality and human standards. And in other words, that's what they're doing to the same thing, the same game being played against the Native Americans right now with the pipeline is the same reason the Flint, Michigan's going on. So these are terror logistics that we left. Mass serial killer and different, not just, in other words, it was aimed with lies at separate populations differently, you know, on the record and off the record, but everyone to the same net. You know, everyone playing the same game, everyone making the same mistakes with convictions regarding it. And then so we can't, and then we're defending that, so we can't defend top-down lies. And then they're forcing it on our politicians. Only let realize trained. In other words, we have to deal with facts, not blaming people. We have to understand what the multi-front impositions and logistical challenges actively being exploited and how, and not even realized. You know, this is mass evil in relationship to motivations that are with facts treatments. So it's mass evil with terror groups. You understand? It's in other words, to maintain lies and progression, lies and illusions with negative value terror progressions through means to stay that, as only let realized nature to all areas, to extents incapable of countering that, at the same time, incapable of revealing the real means of value, even safety standards, because the way they put the value nature system only let realized spoke as business and as legal nature convictions that are predatory to surface values of the Constitution and to morality that would have been our guide, but we don't have. We have to understand. We have to understand law with honesty. In other words, the only way we understand that is not in relationship to statutes. but it is in relationship to correlation of what is radical, because it is unchanging, positive all ways, even with invisible perception. So when that radical is not with perception, in other words, when we have lies and delusions and just indifference and expertly, that leaves the radical not with it. It leaves negative, in other words, it leaves not real positive all ways, which is negative value nature. And it demonstrates this with negative value nature progressions, such as the water problem in Flint, Michigan, such as the shooting problems in Detroit, Michigan, throughout Michigan, everywhere. The crime statistics through time as well with the colleges, with the sciences. They have lies, delusions, and criminal agenda mixed as within their interpretations, and with convictions of the hurt conviction natures that come out and hurt that further hurt. These are line progressions, causes, juxtaposed, not only with what causes these, besides the people. In other words, not just the people that are hurting everybody and committing crimes. It's all that left forsaken. It's maintaining that. It's also measuring it, exploited, entertained. In other words, with Flint, Michigan, they don't know anything way to do about it because we were told to defend this nation as a business. Have no standards, forsake Native American rights, then pretend to care about prejudice. That's a narrative need with lies that are exploiting us at complex litigation levels. Not even a lawyer. In other words, in relationship to Flint, Michigan, and the resources that human value needs to make evolution. That's why everyone pray for gardening, because that's the only way that knows. That, in other words, that's what leads development. It's what's active. Not just, all three ways. What is unchanging, positive. And so we don't have water, which is the first positive. We have mistreatments of it. So then we have all kinds of motivations and vested interests for other people, at once, to ignore that. Like bottled water, they're going to make money off of it, but that's not the interest without the real logistical problem. There's terror methods to it, to all areas. There are original and our state terror methods that are actively exploiting all areas, especially our most exploited areas. And overall, like Flint, Michigan, and actively. So not only do we have that, we have it measured in relationship to other nations of terror exploitations, that and how they can only explain it as a business reactions to it. They can't even use any art. Lies and delusions are only since founding, we've only been to have incomplete legal natures of opinions experienced and told to us. In other words, with lies and delusions as hurt indifference natures, hurt conviction natures, and not by accident. With guys and saying with business insidious narrative, like a serial killer needing, with the excuse pretending they need to have a good front for the store. But this is not a store. Education and the law and human value nature impositions attached to this too. In other words, we can't even have this is totally attached to the terrorism conversation, because the terrorism conversation is inseparable from original internation shared peace, terror, police that wrote the colonization's terror laws to all areas and methods, and blamed on other things in relationship to their narratives, in relationship to how they have the kings and queens extorted, and then not telling the whole truth as measured tools. Everybody only left that way because of human education geopolitically. Before modern nations, ancient nations lost education tactically. They lost the original nature of internation connections, which was taken over by a virus, an internation science that criminally re-engineered itself to perpetuate humanity as perpetual laws to it. Our top-down legal natures and us bottom-up distinctly, but the same ends. The only way to discern it is to say, boom, that's no good. It shows not only that there's an active breaching methods upon Flint, Michigan right now, and upon the neighboring state, all of us. It shows that we have legal natures that are being measured incapable of defending us with morality and where it counts. You know, in relationship to how they're using only that realized guise and exploitations of only that breached need. You know, it's right to thank service people and to value that, but we only have that breached. We don't have honest value. No, when they do that, they're doing it for their own reasons to keep a nature of logic justified and glorified and entertained with no questions, insidiously. But it's no good. It's demonstrated by the failures of the Flint water crisis now that wasn't anticipated. It shows that there's breached sciences, not by accident. We cannot defend ourselves as a business.